Houston, we have a problem.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Help me help you.
You are a toy!
My team is dead!
There's no crying in baseball!
Relax. This pot is making you aggressive.
You complete me.
Hello and welcome back to We Bought a Mic, a pop culture podcast. A pop culture you can't handle the truth cast. For a series on the films of Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks. It's called Tom v. Tom, A Tale of Two Toms. Cruisemas with the Hanks. Is it Tom v. Tom : A Tale of Two Toms dash Cruisemas with the Hanks?
Yeah, we Dead Reckoning Part 1 this thing.
A movie that no longer exists.
Yeah.
We've missed a lot.
One.
We took a little break. We're back.
Yeah.
We're so back. We have never been more back. We did it, Joe.
We're back.
We're about to be gone again.
we're back for a short period of time.
Welcome. My name's Ernest.
Ernest, did you buy the mic? Did you buy the mic? You're goddamn right I did. My name's Hunter.
I'm Drew. And excited for this one.
We're talking, hold on, let me check my notes.
The
It's called
amount of times-
A Few Good Men.
The amount of times that you've been like, all the president's men.
For all mankind.
It's A Few Good Men. It's like one of the most famous
I love
90s
you, man.
movies ever.
I love you, men.
I almost just said a few good men, or for all mankind, for all men, for all man.
Yeah.
Look, season 4.
We'll talk about the women, okay? And maybe there wasn't so many good women.
Season 4 of For All Mankind is about to drop on Apple TV, so that's where my head is at right now. I'm on Mars right now.
I'm so lit today. I'm on that mom shit. I'm on a wine and a Diet Coke right now.
I'm Diet Coke.
God, you're just like my mom.
I'm ready to get sorked off by Aaron Sorkin.
I can't do Diet Coke. I can't do it.
Do you think that the continued actor strike is really going to cut into the everyone's awareness of For All Mankind coming back? Because everyone,
I don't think there was any awareness to begin with.
Do you think that like the strike is really going to kill For All Mankind season 3?
Look, it's I got to take whatever I can get, you know? It's time to talk about Rob Reiner's and Aaron Sorkin's A Few Good Men.
Right into the pod. What sounds you want Ernest to put on his little buttons over there? I'm going hard for a bunch of Family Guy. I want a giggity. I want like a friggin'
I only have 4 buttons on here. I'd have to get like a larger setup to get more. Some people have like a whole iPad just for a soundboard.
Facts.
And it's like a 16 grid, 16 buttons.
We should do that.
I might.
Yeah.
Bitch, I might. So, A Few Good Men. This is a Tom Cruise film. We're covering Tom Cruise. It also stars Jack Nicholson.
And
a bunch of other fucking people.
And fucking Demi Moore.
Do we want to start with the cast? I think we can do either cast, story. I think the story here, maybe let's start with the story. If people don't know this movie, it's from 1992. It's a story about a military court trial in which these 2 Marines in Cuba, in Guantanamo Bay, are accused of murder, essentially, or at least accessories to murder of a private. And it seems like you basically see this in the opening scene of the movie.
Yeah.
That the murder appears to be one way, and it may not actually be that way.
This is based loosely on true events, which Aaron Sorkin then wrote a play about, which then became this movie. Loosely is a key term here because the thing I kept thinking while watching this is comparing it to more recent adaptations where if it's something that has to be treated sort of sensitively, like I think the movie I just saw, it was called like Breaking. Maybe it was it was not great. It's a 2023.
Oh,
you're
Sean
talking
Boyega
about
film.
Yeah, it was a Boyega movie based on true events, and the entire problem with the movie is that the writer was really scared to deviate from what actually happened.
Yeah.
And what results is like not like a full like a movie.
Yeah.
Sorkin realized that no one cares about details. You can make shit up. You can combine characters. You can do whatever you want. It's art.
And you don't have to listen to all the fucking lawyers that are gonna be like, actually, you can approach the jury while you're giving your statement. That's not
It's
allowed.
like you can't just whisper to the people who are on stand because then the jury can't hear
Also, you can't scream.
Yeah, you can't do that.
It just watching this movie was a pleasure because I was scared because it was based on some level of true events, and it takes so many liberties that I had a blast.
So did you guys not see this movie before?
First time, baby.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I've seen this movie like a dozen times growing. This is like a classic like TNT movie.
I mean, obviously, I knew You Can't Handle the Truth.
I think that this is like, I without asking him before we record this podcast, I'm pretty sure this is like one of my dad's favorite movies ever. Just because I remember this from being a cable movie, and I just remember this being on like growing up. My dad's a big Jack Nicholson fan. So it makes sense that, especially the You Can't Handle the Truth, they're like, you're goddamn right I did. Like all of the ending that we're going to get to is just kind of been like seared in my brain forever. I watched this a few years ago in advance of what was the not being the Ricardos Trial of the Chicago 7. I went through
some prep work.
Yeah, and I watched this for the first time in like my adult life. Boy, oh boy. What happened to Aaron Sorkin? I guess like
he stopped doing
politics
drugs.
caught up with him too, and like where he was like this like bastion of like liberal political ideas in the 1990s.
Yeah,
that's
Bill
kind
Clinton's
of changed
America.
a little bit.
It's
in
so-
a post West Wing world.
It's that he lost his fastball and his 8-ball, and
fastball on his 8-ball.
And to be honest, this type of like, his true bag of like wild, like pitter patter dialogue, it works best in certain situations. You can't just like copy paste that onto any situation.
Did we all watch Molly's Game together?
Maybe
I
watched it.
remember
We did
watching.
go to the theater. For
Yeah.
that.
Just it
Wow.
it doesn't make quite as much sense in that. It ends up working great in Social Network because you're like, oh yeah, I'm sure this is what people talk like at Harvard. I'm not too smart, so I've never been there, but
Well, I think that's just lightning in a bottle.
No, I
Because of
know.
David
That's also
Fincher.
the venture direction
Yeah.
matched
Yeah,
with that
it's
is just too.
but he is
beacons.
this is just him at his absolute peak because he is allowed to do what he does in this movie. It's not stale yet. You know what I mean? It's still fresh to the public, and he gets to use all of his tricks for like, for the first or second time as opposed to like the 10th time. Because he does a lot of stuff scene to scene that's like really just like traditional good screenwriting. You know what I mean? He loves certain things. Like he'll do these certain motifs in everything that he writes. One of them is someone getting really worked up over one thing, but then like exclaiming something that's about something totally different. Like when Kaffee is like, "You're a horrible softball player," because he's really mad at Kevin Bacon for like the case.
Right.
He does that in everything he's ever written.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. He loves like, he loves like mommy daddy issues, like having to, it's a lot of it's traditional like standard writing, but he does it well.
Well, we gotta talk about Rob Reiner too, because I think Rob Reiner keeps this thing more on lock. Because I don't know who directs the episodes of The West Wing. I'd have to look at that. That feels like an Aaron Sorkin project, even though he's not directing. But The West Wing, it's like we are flying, dude. The camera is moving all over the place. One character is coming in and the dialogue scenes are overlapping on top of each other. Reiner keeps this thing like pretty on lock for the most part.
Reiner's awesome.
It's his run.
Reiner's he's like in the middle of like an elite run.
This run, it starts in 1984 with This Is Spinal Tap. Then Stand By Me 1986. Princess Bride 87, When Harry Met Sally 89.
I mean, that's the GOAT.
Misery 90, and then A Few Good Men 92. That's unfucking believable. And like, it's funny because Rob Reiner, it's kind of like whenever we talked about Barry Levinson during the Robin series, where it's just like, what hallmarks are in a Rob Reiner film? Like, it's not like he has that, like,
He can do a lot of different stuff.
it's very actor focused. It's very much just like, I think it's because of his experience as an actor that he knows, like, I'm just gonna fucking put the camera on these guys and just like let them cook here.
He's good at getting good coverage of whatever needs to be covered. He's very economical in this movie. Like, it's not flashy because it can't be, because the writing is so fucking flashy. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's so many like elite transitions in this movie from scene to scene. There will be like a jump cut across time that's signified by just panning the camera across a tree. You know, like when you're on the other side of the tree, time has jumped like a month or whatever. It's stuff like that. Or it'll like a scene will end by cutting to, it'll be the flash of like a gunshot in a window, and then it zooms back out and you're in a window in another room during a lightning storm. Yeah. Like, it's stuff like that that's like
clean.
It's very, it's things that are in a lot of directors' bags, but he does it over and over and over, and it keeps this momentum moving while also not drawing attention to him, because you can't, because like there's a lot of attention being drawn to the words and the acting.
Right.
It's really quality.
I wrote down in my notes like multiple times how much this movie feels like. It feels like a sports movie or like an action movie, just with how snappy the dialogue is, and how, the way that there's like a physicality to each and every performance. Even somebody who's like we'll talk about Demi Moore, who's like, I don't think she's like great in the movie. It's not her fault by any means, but she's like clearly not.
I mean, she doesn't let down that hair. I was waiting for it.
Smile more, sweetie. Come on.
But like, even with somebody like her, like, there's just kind of this like physicality in this presence, which goes back to Reiner, like the way that he shoots the Sorkin dialogue, that it plays into each other so well. And it kind of in the inverse of the only other time that I think Sorkin has worked at this level in a movie, which is Social Network, where Fincher's just like, we're going to make things snappy. The camera is as much a moving piece of this as the actors are.
Yeah.
I think the best example of like combining what Reiner's great at and what Sorkin's great at is a moment that I don't know if it was in the script or if Reiner decided to do it, where it's another transition, and it's like a scene, the first scene where we get to really see Kaffee killing it in the courtroom. And then jump cut to him swooshing a shot in his like basketball hoop.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I mean? It has like an emotional through line from scene to scene. It could very easily be in the script, and it could very easily be like a directorial choice.
I'm pretty sure that's after the whole like show me where the code red is in the book, and like the way that that whole scene, all of the courtroom stuff, the way that it is shot and the way that's executed, I know we're jumping around a little bit, is just like to perfection. Of lays the book down the table, and then Tom comes in, picks it up, and is just like, can you show me where the mess hall is on here? It's just like so expert.
Now, where are you going with this?
But watch yourself.
Usually I have like I feel like an alarm goes off in my head whenever I see a movie that's adapted from a play, because a lot of times it's like so obvious. You can feel the play. That was my biggest problem a couple years ago with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, where like, despite some incredible performances and some great things about that movie,
it's actors on a stage.
It so clearly felt like, damn, I wish I was just watching this live stage production and not the filmed version, because it does not feel as genuine.
Yeah.
This feels like a play throughout it. You're just like, there's what?
But it's
3
cinematic.
or 4 sets in the entire movie that they're in, but it feels so deeply cinematic the entire time.
Yeah, it's well done all around. I'm glad we're giving some love to Reiner, because he was on fire during this run. This is truly elite directing, and the rest of this pod, once we get past him, is going to be not about him at all, because this is like the meatiest script and acting that you could ever have. One more thing I want to say about him is, I think an underrated, incredible choice he makes in this. He does not use any shots of the jury reacting to the lawyers.
They're in the
cooking.
background.
Really smart.
Because
there's no close-ups. Yeah,
because that has later sort of become like a trope that you would see on something like fucking
No,
like
because we're the jury.
yeah, like,
we're the audience is the jury.
And we're not gaining anything. Yeah, because we're smart enough to watch them cook and like be thinking about it on our own. We don't need to see the jury go a bunch of extra level like shitty actors going like,
or no, yeah, you're right. Like
we don't need that.
Where that would have been awful is whenever you have the Demi Moore, I strenuously object. Like if you would have seen a bunch of jurors be like, oh, murmuring to each other, that would have sucked.
Dude, I
That
don't
would
think you're allowed to.
And it's one little shot that you
see
probably
that
wouldn't have
Brian
even been
has
able to pick
dice
up.
in his
But
pocket?
It just that became such a trope like later on, like in the 2000s. You know, you would
audiences aren't smart enough to pick up what the you're supposed to feel during a sequence.
Yeah, and he doesn't rely on them at all because he's like, well, I already have this unbelievable cast of actors. I don't need to use these nobodies like off to the side here. They can just sit there and like the audience is smart enough to know that they are watching and reacting. I have never seen a director not use cuts to jury. I mean, I've never seen that happen.
Maybe they shot it and just felt like they could trust people.
It does nothing. Well, you know who you see reacting more is like the people you fucking give a shit about. We don't have any connection to these jury members. We do care when we're seeing Kathy cook. It'll cut to Demi Moore looking proud because we know her and understand their relationship.
Yeah. Or what's our guy? Our other guy.
Kevin Pollak.
Yeah.
You're talking about Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Famous podcaster.
Is he really?
Kevin Pollak chat show. He was doing that shit like early.
So I know him as the father-in-law in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the man that owns the shop. The father of he is the Mr. Maisel. He is Father Maisel.
Father Daddy Maisel.
And he is very young in this movie, and I almost didn't recognize him.
He's great in this movie. He's so. It's funny. I was like doing some research for like the original casting and stuff like that. Originally, this was supposed to be Jason Alexander in the Sam Weinberg
I could
role.
see that. Okay.
I don't know. There's something about Kevin Pollak though that just feels right.
Well, you would never be able to unsee George Costanza.
George just
I mean, a code red, Jerry. Is it in the book? I don't see it.
I have no responsibility here whatsoever. Cue laugh track.
So,
no, I think that this movie is just like it's. Oh, okay. That's not a laugh. That's just a clap track. People are just applauding that it's not Jason Alexander. Before we get into the movie itself, just a little bit of background because we have been doing this on some of the other movies coming in here. So the 65th Academy Awards. This movie got 3 nominations.
4
nominations.
Yeah. Picture, actor for Nicholson, sound,
supporting actor for Nicholson.
Yeah, and editing.
That's 3.
No, picture, supporting, sound, editing.
Sound. Oh, my bad. I notably no Tom Cruise, which
no respect
is an absolute travesty because I think this is a top 5 Tom Cruise performance. He's so fucking good.
I think we need to talk about, if we're going to start talking about Tom Cruise, we need to talk about the 90s. Because I think Tom came in so hot in the late 80s trying to angle for some kind of Oscar love with Rain Man and Born on the 4th of July. And even, I mean, maybe you could throw Color of Money in there, but
I mean, you could.
I don't think that's really an Oscar.
I wouldn't give him any awards for that.
Maybe not awards, but okay. But look at it in the framework of he's working with Scorsese.
He's trying.
He's working with Paul Newman. In this movie, he's working with Jack Nicholson, right? It just continues the theme
of that torch passing.
Of Tom trying to attach himself to these legends. And now that we're in the 90s, this is the first 90s movie. I mean, we covered Joe versus the Volcano. That's a very 80s movie. That came out in 1990. That feels like a very 80s movie. Now we're in the 90s, and this feels very much like a 90s movie. We're in Bill Clinton's America with this movie, and Tom Cruise is past the point a little bit of wanting to run directly into Academy love.
I don't know. I will say, I think that Tom definitely wanted an Oscar for this movie. I think this movie just was really underappreciated at its time. Like, even Roger Ebert only gave it 2.5 stars.
He gave it thumbs down. I saw that.
He was just like, the movie tells you what it is, and then it is that. And it's like, yeah, that's why it
that's
rocks.
a movie.
Also, it's kind of cool that from the very beginning, you're like, these kids were just like in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they're just like kind of like drummed, like they're really fucking
dumb as
dumb.
absolute hell.
They're just
the one is
how?
yeah. The white guy is the stupidest character I've
my
ever
guy
seen.
James
Twin
from
Peaks. Let's
That's
go.
James from Twin Peaks. Where I have a bunch of thoughts about him.
It's you and I.
Oh my god.
So
no,
He should have done that on the witness.
he absolutely should have. I have a lot of thoughts about him specifically in this movie because it's so funny. But the best actor category, I don't know if you guys pulled up the Academy Awards this year. It's one of the most stacked best actor categories that I've like ever seen, even if it's not their actual best work. Al Pacino wins for Scent of a Woman. Robert Downey Jr. as Chaplin in the film Chaplin. Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven, which Unforgiven also won Best Picture that year.
Oh, wow.
Denzel Washington in Malcolm X.
yeah.
And then Stephen Ray for The Crying Game. That's pretty phenomenal. Like down the line, I guess Stephen Ray is the only one where you're going to take out to put Tom in.
Who talks about The Crying Game anymore?
But it's kind of tough going up against, even if he was nominated, against Al Pacino for Scent of the Woman, which was the It's Time Oscar. We have to give one to Al. He was in fucking Godfather. Robert Downey Jr. as Chaplin, which is probably like his most iconic performance pre-Iron Man at that point. And then Denzel Washington for Malcolm X. So what are you going to do there?
Did Denzel, this is before Training Day, but after Glory.
Yeah, this is like 10 years before Training Day.
Yeah.
Glory is 89. So yeah, so this is post-Glory.
So Denzel already had one.
It does. So that critique by Ebert is like correct. It's just not, that doesn't mean it's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just a movie.
It's a very straightforward movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's true. And because Sorkin wrote it, you know, a lot of things are explained immediately before they happen, and then they just happen. And
well, it's when you're on a roller coaster, you know you're going to get off at the same spot you got on, but you're still going to have a great time. Like, it's
damn, write that shit down.
No, it's true.
I mean, I don't know what Ebert was trying to do. He was probably trying to be he was trying to zag when he saw Siskel like the movie, because Siskel was like, wait a second, what are you doing right now? I watched the video.
Oh,
review.
you watched the
Siskel is like, what are you talking about right now?
It's
like,
just,
he was shocked.
Like, we're following, like, if you're like in a mood, in like a stale mood where you're like, I need something different right now. Like, this movie isn't something different.
It's just a movie.
Yeah,
and read this movie very cynically.
Story,
like, if you
yeah.
watch this,
of course.
If you could cinema sins this movie to death.
It also, like, it follows like every single beat of like Hero's journey, like the whole circle, like front to back. It has every single piece of it, you know. And I think that's fine because he does a good job. Sorkin did a good job. It has plenty of things where you're like, would you shut up, Aaron? Like, it has plenty of lines where you're like, suck my dick, Aaron. Like,
You want me on that wall. You need
I
me
know.
on that wall.
But also,
up.
it just fucking rocks, man. I don't like. Fuck. I think where this movie, because the first time that you see Tom just out there in the softball field is great. Where Demi Moore is coming up, and you can just tell he's just such a little shithead. Which we're about to enter like in the era. I think this might be the final one of Tom Cruise playing young shithead who needs to like learn some few life lessons. There's like because by the time you get to Jerry Maguire, that's a different version of this guy.
Well, The Firm is up next, so I think that one is just doubling down on this a little bit.
This is also, though, I think some other an unnamed podcast pointed this exact same thing out. I wrote this down too when we were watching it, that it actually has an opposite effect of most of the Cruise movies we've seen so far, because in this movie he has to be convinced to do the thing, as opposed to, like, you know, in Top Gun he can't not. Like, he has to do, he's compulsorily does the most when he's in the air. In this, like, he doesn't want to do too much.
Yeah,
and
he just wants to sit around and just watch Orioles games at home with his little bat.
Yeah, he's
That's all
lit.
they cares
He
about.
wants to not go to trial, collect his victory, quote unquote.
Well, this is why I'm gonna go for bat for Demi Moore a little bit, because I think that she has a very tough role to do where she has to both not want Cruz to be on the case, but also like encourage him
And also like constantly
to
be like,
do it.
you're the best damn lawyer I've ever seen in my life.
So it's a very contradictory character where it's just like, oh, clearly I'm against you, but I also have to be the voice of like wanting to convince you to do it.
Yeah, she so it becomes an arc. Like in the story, like she like outright fucking hates him so much.
I think she does a good job.
and then she falls in love with him.
I think that Demi Moore is good in the movie. I don't think
It's not a well-written character.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of more so the point that I was making to begin with. I actually think that Demi Moore and Tom actually have some chemistry in this movie. When they're just out there cracking fucking clams together, it's fun.
They don't have to kiss.
It's not chemistry in a way. It's not chemistry, sexual chemistry. I'm talking about just actor to actor chemistry with each other.
She didn't want to take that hair down for that date.
I did see a little thing where I guess somebody asked for them to have a sex scene or for them to like make out or something like that. And Sorkin was just like, did his whole like Proud Boy of like, I view women as more than just a sexual object in my films. And we all clapped.
They exist to tell the man that he's
just
good.
like, I believe in Molly and her game.
Right.
Yeah, women
I
don't
believe in being the Ricardos.
Women don't need to fuck; they need to support males.
Yeah, it's like not like she has true agency in this movie at all. But cool.
I believe in
Happy for
Steve
you, Aaron.
Jobs' daughter telling him that he did a good job. You did a good job, Steve Jobs.
Can we talk about the introduction to Jack? The first time that you meet Jack.
Okay,
Jack and Kiefer together.
Jack Nicholson has like what 3 scenes in this movie?
It's like,
and he gets second billing.
It's Lecter-esque the way he just eats up the movie, even though he's not even in it.
It's insane.
The first, because one, I will say Kiefer is like deliciously evil in this movie. Like the first time you see him, I want to kill this guy. Like
the shape of his head gave me the creeps.
I hate him. He gives you the heebie-jeebies. You're like, this is the most like racist, virile person that I have ever seen in my life, and I hate him.
He should have tried to grow his hair out a little bit.
Virile?
That's not the term that was like. He fucks, dude.
He's erect.
Vile. He's racist vile person.
I got 2 books by my bedside.
I got
the Kama Sutra and 50 Shades of Grey.
I got 4,000 Cubans across that border. They just don't want to fuck.
Gross.
The first time that you see the Jack scene where he's reading out Santiago's like request to leave
The
and everything
flashback.
else. Yeah. It's the first time that you really see Jack just being like so menacing and just like so even keeled throughout the movie. And that's kind of the beauty of the performance, is that it's so like snooty, like just so looking down on everything up until the very end when he finally breaks. Like his whole thing, he has like a line to Kiefer, like in that first scene, is just like, if Santiago doesn't make 4.646 on his next proficiency check, I'm gonna blame you. And then I'm gonna kill you. And he just says it like that. And like, it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ.
So if I was in
Hunter just hit like a quadruple multiplier on that.
Guess what? It's coming more. As the wine kicks in,
Hunter's getting like 75% of the Patreon money for this episode.
It's like in Spider-Man when you hit the quick time event, like right on point.
He's star power. He flipped up the guitar.
I'm DVRing right now. Just
it's just if I were in a Sorkin movie, I would 1000% read my lines slowly, because every time you're like, whoa, what's this guy doing?
But it's crazy because like then you fast forward almost a decade and a half to Social Network, and they're auditioning Jesse Eisenberg based on how fast he can read the lines. Like,
well, because if you're like a lead, you gotta go fast, or else that movie is gonna be 6 hours.
That's a good point. Yeah,
like
the number.
It's just like a timing issue. But like
Jack goes chilling because it's only 3 scenes.
Or like there's someone in Social Network who talks slowly, and every time you see it, you're like, what the hell? But it's just like a background guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so jarring and incredible in this movie because A, you're not going to make old man Jack talk like crazy fast. And B, this is a guy who doesn't have time for any of this bullshit. Like he's like, no. We're going to do this all in my time.
I think he does because Guantanamo Bay didn't have much going on back then.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about this movie is that like this is pre 9/11.
Yeah, it's about Guantanamo.
You got
No,
time.
it's Cold War. I think it's just supposed to be. There's no.
The
it doesn't
Berlin
say
Wall
the
had
time. But like I don't
if we're
know.
assuming it's 92.
The thing happened in the 80s.
I assume that
The
this
thing that
was
happened.
made to be
Yes.
80s.
If we're basing it on, yes, you're right. If we're basing it on the true world events, then
I think
yes.
this is pre-Gulf War. At least whenever I was watching this, that's what I was.
You
thinking
watched
in
it
my
before
head.
the Gulf War.
Yeah,
You were
yeah,
watching
yeah.
this when you were 8 and you were like, I bet this is pre-Gulf
I was
War.
watching this in Reagan's America, actually.
It's just it works really well the way that he plays every single moment that he's on. Also, another thing Reiner does is he goes closer on Jack than he does anybody else.
Right. It's his face takes up like
it's
the
Jack's
entire
whole
thing.
head and then like a medium of Demi and Tom being
Yeah.
like, what
Also-
did you just ask
also,
me to do?
Jack Nicholson like doesn't move any inch of his body.
Mhm.
Like his neck does not shift at all. His whole performance is just from his forehead to his chin.
This
Like
might
that is where
Yeah.
the acting is.
They might have
happening.
like deep faked him onto another guy's body.
Did you guys
It's
see?
incredible.
I'm skipping ahead, but did you guys see the whole thing about the end whenever he gives the big speech in the
You're
courtroom?
goddamn right I did.
Like, did you hear that he did that speech because they had to get like surrounding shots of everybody else while he was doing the scene, and every time that they were filming somebody else, they figured they would just have like a stand-in up there, and instead he insisted on doing the entire speech every single time for a cut. And they're
God, I
like,
love
Jack,
him.
Yeah.
are you sure that you're gonna like have this ready for whenever we cut to you? And he's like, yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
I got this.
he's already old in this movie.
we-
cut to 15 years later and he's like whipping out dildos on
This
the
is-
Departed set?
Yeah, I was gonna say about where is this towards the end here of Jack?
Well,
Because by The Departed, I know he's in that. Jack is like bad in The Departed.
No, he's not. He's playing a senile old man. It works so great. He's playing a guy who's lost his mind.
And in that way, it's fun. I will say it's a very fun performance. Is it like good?
Yeah, because he's you seeing a guy who's crazy.
can we? I want to talk about like is this at the top of Jack Nicholson? Because I just want to go real quick as like what the top
It's not
would
the
be.
top. It's Cuckoo's Nest,
So so Cuckoo's Nest 1.
Yeah, Cuckoo's
Chinatown.
Shining.
Chinatown.
Jake
Okay.
Geddes.
Chinatown and Cuckoo's Nest came out a year apart from each other.
Okay,
like
Cuckoo-
74, 75
Cuckoo's
is
Nest,
peak,
Chinatown,
peak, peak.
Shining.
I'm sure there's a bunch of like 60s.
But then what?
Peak Jack from the 60s
like, would
we
you
haven't
put
seen.
this
Terms
in
of
the-
Endearment is really high up there. He's like third or fourth bill in that movie, but it's kind of like this, where
yeah,
it's just
but
like
who's
he
talking
owns
about
the fucking-
Terms of Endearment? Like
I am.
Hunter
Terms
is-
of Endearment
Hunter is right
fucking
now, and
rules.
you're being
Are you
rude.
kidding me? Terms of Endearment's great.
Batman.
As good as it gets is probably pretty high up there. Batman, he like, I mean, you know, just playing like anarchist was something that Jack was the best at for like 20 years.
I mean,
there.
21st century Jack is a whole breed. Like the bucket
That's
list, something's got to
bleak.
give. There's a lot
I
of
think
shit.
if we're going like efficiency, this is one of the best, like most efficient performances.
I
that
think
you can
this has to
possibly
be in
have.
the top 5 at
Yeah,
least.
not a wasted breath. It's like typecasting because he looks like he's been like frying on Guantanamo for like 20 years. Like he looks so awful, and purely evil.
But that's kind of the beauty of this movie is that it, especially how it starts, where you have that introduction to him, and then you have the fucking scene where Tom meets Jack in Cuba, and Jack has such a presence over Tom,
great
and that's what
scene.
makes it even more impactful. I think at the end of this movie, I think that Tom wins the movie. Like Tom wins that final scene in the film itself, and also I think like Tom Cruise gives the better performance than Jack in this movie.
Whoa.
Like I think that this is truly like, we've talked about some of the breakthrough performances that Tom Cruise has had leading up to this, especially with something like Born on the 4th of July, where it's like, whoa, he leveled up as an actor. This is something where he is going toe to toe with Jack in the courtroom, and he's getting so quiet, and he's like getting under Jack's skin as it is happening, Kaffee is getting under the Colonel's skin, and he fucking wins. He breaks him. It's such a marvelous work of physical face acting from Tom. The eyebrows in that fucking courtroom sequence are unbelievable.
So this finale, this whole confrontation showdown, I think is in the running for like one of the great scenes.
One of the great
cinema.
movie scenes ever. Yeah.
Like it's you watch this movie for this scene and it lives up to it. Dude, we watched this together. Like we were both physically on the edge of our seats. Drew was like rocking back and forth.
I went nonverbal in the club.
Yeah. Like I don't know if there's a single superhero Marvel movie whose action there's no, maybe if you throw in like real action movies like Mission Impossible, but like the heightened adrenaline you feel during this courtroom scene does not match like any modern action superhero shit. It's not even close.
It's unbelievable. I rewatched the last 30 minutes of this movie earlier today before we did this podcast, just because I was like, I just want to just throw it on. Maybe I'll get like a good pull quote or something like that. And then I just didn't write down any quotes because I just started watching the rest of it all the way through.
It slaps. And
it's so good.
Speaking toward the like every single beat in the hero's journey, I think it's really well set up by, I don't know what this is called in the hero's journey, but it's like it's the exact mirror of the refusal of the call in the beginning, which does happen in this movie, of course. But this is right before the final battle when Demi Moore is like, hey, if you're not going to get out of him, don't do it. I'm telling you as a friend, like you could get in trouble. I love it every time like a writer uses that in a script. Like right before the final thing, someone on the crew is like, I don't know, man. Yeah. Like,
and the whole time Roger Ebert is like, I don't know about this.
I saw this in the 50s.
I mean, it's great because I mean, we're watching this with the hindsight of knowing, you can't handle the truth, all that. But you go into it knowing that there is going to be this explosive moment. There is going to be some kind of climax.
And we've been watching them prep for this case for a half hour and we'll intersplice with them doing the case in court talking
the whole movie is all about this. There's no other tangential subplots.
Exactly. They've been cross-examining for a while now. We've been seeing all of the characters that are right under him, and all we're waiting for is Jack to come because we know it's going to get big. Kevin Bacon is awesome.
So probably like one of the most overqualified, like 5th, 6th build people that you can have in a movie.
He made so much fucking cash in the 90s being like like the third guy in every movie.
Guy, absolute king.
Post Footloose.
That's almost one of the things where it goes back to like how dumb criticisms of this movie were, where it's just like, oh, I didn't like it because it was about the code red that was going to happen, and then it happened. It's like, yeah.
What else would it be? But you want to go into his softball career?
I don't care about that. I don't. It doesn't. It does the same thing that like a movie like I applaud something like Whiplash avoids, where it's just like we're gonna avoid the like dumb like love romance subplot. It's just about this one thing. We're leading up to this one thing, and then we're gonna deliver on the one thing.
It's what you came here to see.
There's no twist ending or anything. We promise this one thing, and we're gonna give it to you.
Well, back to what you were saying about the Jacko, what's his character's name? Jessup.
Yeah.
When they decide, the moment where they decide to actually like pursue that as a viable path for the case is so well earned. Like there's so much. Sorkin does a perfect job at seeding that idea of knowing that they have to call him to the stand without a single character ever saying it. Mm-hmm. Like all the pieces are there. He gives you all you need as an audience member to know that has to happen, but no character ever says it until when they do say it, that's the moment where it's like, okay, we're rocking, we're rolling, we can keep moving.
Exactly. It's like it's the final boss battle. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you can't just not, like, you got fucking Kiefer up there.
It's
fuck Kiefer, man.
It all goes back though to
sucks.
that, but you know what's going to happen? It's the seeds. It's like a smoking gun kind of situation where there's there's like an actual smoking gun in this, which is the call logs, which the way that the movie plays with that, or the flight logs, that then it's just like they don't even exist anyways. The way that like the smoking gun that you think is there in like a normal movie, in a worse movie, doesn't matter at all. And instead the true smoking gun is just Jack Nicholson as a guy coming up there, because it's promised to you in that first Cuban sequence when you see him and you're like, this is like the most evil person I've ever seen in my entire life. He's just like, you gotta ask me nicely, Danny.
There's such a Sorkin thing where, and this is so true for West Wing, Lee's favorite show. We watch it all the time. She can't get enough of it, especially because Sorkin was on crack the entire time. There's a quality to the way Sorkin writes those scripts where there's a lot of episodes that get into the nitty gritty of government, and there's some episodes that you don't need any government stuff, that it's like, oh, the president's daughter has been kidnapped and we have to figure that out. Right. Like that's just a TV plot line. It's a season capper, high stakes event. And then in the middle of the season, you got to fill out. Aaron Sorkin was doing so much crack cocaine that he had to write like 23 episodes by himself with the help of only drugs. And every once in a while in the middle of that, it was like, okay, we got to do an episode about this random bill that has to be passed. Mm-hmm. And when you're sitting watching those episodes, it's like, you have no idea what people are saying. You have no idea what the intricacies of Washington are to get this bill across, but you're invested in it because you know these characters and you know what each individual person has invested in their character arc for this plot to happen. And that's what happens in this movie. There are moments where I don't know the specifics about military law and what the consequences are for all of these different factors to play out in the way that they could, but I know what the characters want, and I know the emotional stakes are there, even though there's not a clear grasp on like the specifics of all the lawyer shit, all the legal bullshit.
I think that a lot of that, especially with the military side of things, Sorkin does like an incredible
military
job.
Law. Yeah.
He does an incredible job of like, we are going to dumb this down to its absolute core with the Dawson and Downey character, which you have them on one side, and then you have Kiefer's Kendrick on the other side of just like, this is like what you look at the military and you're like, these people are fucking brainwashed. Like any normal human being sees this and like, they just see from the outside, fucking, what is the thing? I wrote it down. It's unit core God country. That's my code. What is your guys' code? It's like pod, boys,
wine, dog,
in that order. So no, but it's just like, it's showing them on one side and then it's showing Kendrick on the other side, who's just like, you can just tell everything about him just feels icky. It feels bad, even though he's saying like the words that you want, when he's just like his whole quote of just like, I have 2 books at my bedside, Lieutenant, the Marine Code of Conduct and the King James Bible. The only proper authorities I'm aware of are my commanding officer, Colonel Nathan R. Jessup, and the Lord our God.
Drew, like, that's something that you're going to start saying, isn't it?
Those are the 2 books that you have by your bedside.
Yeah.
You do often, like whenever you see like a Navy officer, you're like, I appreciate you boys. You always give us a lift whenever we need to get somewhere.
I can't read. I have them there. I've seen the movie.
You just like the way that like the Bible pages feel because they're soft.
Yeah.
Is Maverick a Navy guy?
He is a Navy guy. Yeah.
Okay.
And also he's Navy in this too. So just keeping the Navy train going.
They get cooked so damn hard.
The Navy is the taxi service for the Marines though. Like that is an accurate thing.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
They just give them a ride.
So do you guys know the whole thing about Wolfgang Bodison, who plays Harold Dawson, the main guy? So he was a location scout. He had never acted before this movie. He was a location scout, and fucking Rob Reiner was just like, hey, I like the look of you. Would you like to be like one of the quintessential characters in this movie?
Lance Corporal.
Lance Corporal Harold Dawson, and he's great in this movie. Like he's really awesome. He goes toe to toe with
Bodison.
fucking Tom in a lot of these sequences that are on there.
That's actually kind of shocking because I would have thought that he would have been more of an actor than Twin Peaks guy.
Yeah. Twin Peaks guy. He's pulling off like dumbest guy of all time too well.
How?
He is so stupid. Sorkin can only write mega geniuses or like dog level intelligence.
When at the very end when they get dishonorably discharged, he's like, "How? We didn't do anything wrong. How? What happened?"
It's like of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
It's that level. He's just like, "Salute your commanding officer."
Or like fucking like what's eating Gilbert Grape.
Fucking, but also like Demi Moore smiles at him and he's just like, "Oh, she reminds me of Mother." He's kind of incredible for
This
like
is after
the
Twin Peaks,
most
right?
overacting I've ever seen.
92.
So this is right around the same time as
Didn't Twin Peaks premiere like 89
Well,
or 90?
I'm trying to see when season 2 wrapped up.
So I'll say in the meantime, I really like the scenes where Tom is
91. So so this is a year after.
Like I like the arc that Tom has with Dawson and Downey. You know what I mean? Where like they despise him at first, especially Dawson. Downey doesn't know what the fuck is happening.
The best thing about Tom's character is he doesn't approach them as a military guy.
Yeah. He approaches them as just like a dude and he's like, "I'm your lawyer." And they're like, "We only care about the code. That's it."
Yeah, he does not get it. Like he's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you guys?" And it's really funny. He's funny in those scenes. They're direct. I mean, Reiner is a great comedy director. Spinal Tap like changed like the world. Also, by the way, shouts out Chris Guest, who's in this movie.
Playing not a comedic performance. At all.
But yeah, those scenes in that art, every like pair of characters has a bit of an arc in this movie. You know what I mean? If any two characters have more than one scene together, they have an arc. And again, that's just like a super tightly written script.
Oh my God, Chris Guest is the doctor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Looking very severe as that doctor. Also, I want to give a shout out to JT Walsh. May he rest in peace, aka Will Ferrell, aka Markinson.
They were riding too hard on his testimony.
It was never gonna happen. I've never seen a character who was more going to peace out before getting to the stand. He was so clearly not going to make it.
I do love the
You're like,
scene
"We
where
found the breakthrough," and and you like check the clock and you're like, "There's an hour left in this. This ain't gonna work out so great for our fellas."
I love the scene where he's in the back of the car.
Yeah.
Just being so like noir coded.
When he comes back, he's a different man.
Yeah, because
he comes back and he's like Deep Throat from All the President's Men. It's like, wait, what happened? I don't
Because the
understand.
scenes with Jacko is like he's just another military dude. And then once the court case is really racking up, then he's like, okay, now I'm in deep. Now you're in deep.
So he's AWOL, and then he comes back and he's so sus. He has a great sus face. Like
you're getting too close to this thing.
And I've never seen a guy who is more primed to shoot himself.
I honestly was surprised by the whole putting on the suit and then shooting yourself.
That was cool. It's just the fact that he comes back ostensibly to help Tom with the case, agrees to take the stand.
I knew he was cooked.
Yeah, and then he's like, you know what? No, I'm not.
I'm just gonna fucking kill myself and just continue the cycle.
I honestly thought that he was just gonna like disappear. I thought that it wasn't gonna.
There'd be like Jessup was gonna,
or
be
that
like
he gets sniped,
death.
in his window or whatever. But I enjoyed his performance though. I really liked him like in the beginning when they're at Guantanamo and his permanent face is just like like uncomfortable guy. Like I kind of
he's like the one person who still maintained morals despite being down there.
He's got that like I'm about to disappear off the face of the earth face.
about to disappear stare.
Yeah, died in the late 90s. Rest in peace. Yeah, he did great. I mean, everyone does a great job in this movie. I really enjoyed the trio that we get of Pollock, Moore, and Cruz. I think they end up having a lot of fun together in those
Dude,
scenes.
I mean, some of the best stuff is when Cruz is having his freakouts.
Oh yeah,
in the
they all
planning.
have their they all have distinct enough points of view while still all being Sorkin puppets. You know what I mean? Like it ends up being a really fun middle ground where like Pollock is sort of like the fuddy-duddy of the group. He's super grounded.
What does he do?
He's a lawyer.
He's a lawyer too.
No, but I mean, like, well, maybe this is just a question, like a law question. But what does like the minor counsel do, or like the other people?
Well, it takes.
Demi Moore seemed like she was doing a lot more than him. All that he did was just like criticize Demi Moore at that one.
Nah,
point.
he was Mr. like digging up the old papers. That was like his.
Okay.
He's like doing like hard research. And then a lot of the time it's Cruz and Moore who are doing like the executive decision making. You know.
Well, everyone knows that in every case it takes 3 lawyers. One that's going to go out front and make a fool of himself.
Mm-hmm.
One that's going to be like, "Hey, you need to rein it back a little bit," and another one that's going to be like, "Hey, you should go a little harder."
Oh, okay.
It's
I thought you were gonna say like you always need like you're like brash, outspoken one. You need girl, and you need funny guy.
girl who almost fucks everything up. The thing is, like, in terms of the story, that's super necessary and I love it. Like the fact that she is so sure of how everything should be done, but when she like has her outburst in court, it's like, Demi, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's so
You're
hard
not
to see.
supposed to do that.
It's so cringe.
tough.
That's so like, hey, we're messed up right now, jury. Look at us. We don't have our shit together.
And that is like a turning point in the movie too, because the whole time she's just like, Kathy, you don't know what you're doing. You're reckless out there. And now this, like, it's the fucking the speech from Top Gun of like, you're reckless. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
like,
but
all
then
this kind of thing.
then
and then
she
she
beefs it.
does the thing. She's
Yep.
the one who botches it.
It's really awesome. It changes their dynamic. And Kevin Pollak, Tom afterward is just like, listen, she made a mistake. Okay, like he ends up defending her.
He keeps it in check. Sorkin does have his archetypes. They're not like super concrete, but you do see some similarities.
It's just he writes very traditionally in a ton of ways, and one of those is that like he gives because he's right a lot of the time. It's like, we're only going to know these people for 2 hours, so we only really need to know like maybe 3 traits of each character, and everything they say and do can relate back to those core tenets of who they are.
My core is West Wing. Like, I see the archetypes as like the main characters in West Wing, and I try to, like, when I was watching The American President, I was like, okay, which one? Who's CJ? Who's Bradley Whitford?
Do you want to like do like a quick 15 on the American president?
That's
It's
okay.
fine. It's fine.
Don't ask him to do
Okay,
that.
what now? I know that you got like a tight 7 though for the newsroom. So go ahead and pop.
No,
off
the
about
Charlie
newsroom.
Wilson's War.
Oh, okay, all right.
A Tom Hanks film,
Are
which we will
covering
not
that?
cover.
Oh,
No.
damn it.
That one is a real stinker. The American President, I do recommend. Charlie Wilson's War, not so much. But his writing style, I mean, he's fully asleep at the wheel in Charlie Wilson's War. Like, that might as well not even be a Sorkin movie. But The American President is like, you do see some parallels. It's like, okay, this guy is kind of like the hot shot. This guy's kind of like the voice of reason. This person's more of like the by the book person. So he leans on these archetypes a lot. And I think that West Wing is the best version of them that I've seen. Because I don't think you really see them too much in Steve Jobs and Social Network. A little bit, although, those are kind of their own thing. I think in this movie, in A Few Good Men, like, there is that groundwork being laid for West Wing. Like, I so much of my experience of watching this movie is like, okay, what's the work that's being laid for West Wing? Same thing with American President. Is where are those seeds being laid for what's gonna come? Because I joke with the fucking drug use shit, but the feat of writing as many episodes as he did of The West Wing is insane. It has never happened before. Probably will never happen again unless you look at someone like
Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah, Taylor Sheridan.
Tyler Perry.
I can't. Not after watching Atlanta.
I was gonna say after the Atlanta episode of the last
I can't
season.
buy that.
No, you're right.
Next scene.
Mr. Chocolate.
It's like a lot of it's there here, and he also I don't know. I think that he thrives in this field for a couple reasons. One in particular, especially in a courtroom drama, he does a really good job because in like there's all this background research where like things are complicated and like it's people really jawing who like know their shit, so they're allowed to be smart. But then once you get in front of the jury, like it is the lawyer's job to get dumber.
Yeah.
Like to dumb it all down and make it all make sense to the average person.
Exactly.
And so it's a very like structured way for Sorkin to do his thing.
But I think what I'm trying to get at is that it's interesting to see him figure it out. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's one of the best things about this movie is that as he's figuring it out, he's also giving us an all-timer.
Yeah.
Right. It's this movie is not his apex. I would probably put Social Network at his apex. But I think that everything he's doing here is laying the groundwork for those reps of what he does with West Wing and all his other work it's not like he's going down dead ends and turning back, or it's not like he's looping back on himself, or it's not like he's exploring things that never lead to something else. It all feels like necessary groundwork, and all the character work feels consistent with his worldview, for better or worse. And I think that's one of the complicated things about Aaron Sorkin is that he's kind of like a neo-lib fuckboy.
Yeah, like he's super annoying.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's the smartest guy in the world.
It's very complicated. And I think in 92 it was less complicated.
Yeah, totally.
That's the thing about like why it's interesting to compare this, because I think I'm not as much of a Sorkin completionist as you, but it's interesting to compare this to Social Network because there's something about this that feels so fresh, even compared to Social Network, which is still like one of the best movies of the 21st century. But like, I don't know, compared to this, there's just something that's just so working in the bag where it's like he kind of nailed the courtroom movie thing better than anybody ever did before him. And has anybody ever really done since? Of just like half this movie takes place in the fucking courtroom. Like it's not like a thing where it's all taking place all over the world and we're going to journey all around and then we have the final 30 minutes is going to be this one act here. No, we spend half the movie in the courtroom itself. And that's just like Sorkin fully being in his bag. Where even something like Social Network is a little bit more spread out.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more sprawling, for better and worse.
I mean, people love a good courtroom, man.
That's true.
Law and Order,
It's facts.
Suits.
Shouts out Cuba Gooding just popping up for like a quarter second.
Yeah. I did.
What was up with that?
He wasn't famous. He wasn't
he was just
anybody.
nobody.
He was like a TV actor.
Okay.
Just popping up in there.
So
Just
Jerry Maguire was like his moment, or
That was one of the big that was
when it's
like a
Cool
huge-
Runnings, Cool Runnings is after.
Yeah, it's after.
Yeah.
Jerry was a huge step for him, but he also, because I was thinking like, do you think that they regret not making him Downing? But he couldn't, because Downing has to be pretty opaque. You know what?
well, he has to read as just a stock.
And
soldier.
Well, and Cuba, especially back then, had so much humanity to him. Like he has those big doughy eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Are we allowed to call Marines soldiers?
I don't know.
I feel like they
Are
wouldn't like that.
Can we call them like criminals?
I think you have to call them
War
Marines.
criminals.
It's like Army is Marine, or sorry, Army is soldier, Marine is Marine.
Navy is seaman.
Seaman.
What did you guys think about Drunk Tom? About his performance?
incredible.
there?
So I have several thoughts. One,
All the outbursts in this movie are amazing.
I have so first thought, Tom Cruise has not been drunk
Ever. Not a day in his life has he been drunk.
Second, Sorkin doesn't know how to write someone who's just drunk.
Yeah,
he can
it's
only
too
write
verbose.
He can only write someone who's drunk and on cocaine.
Yeah.
because when Tom is just being like, blah, 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 it's also written really bad. And then once he starts like cooking, it's like, okay, this is
It's just like,
drunk on blow.
No, it's also just like, oh, you know, the most articulate person that you've ever met in your entire life. You know, when they get drunk, they can still just do that.
Yeah, it's like, no,
This delivered incredible monologue.
no slurring, no anything.
This guy's on
just-
like this guy's on some key bumps at least.
The whole fucking outburst that he has against Demi Moore of the like, Colonel Jessup, isn't it true that you are the code red for Santiago? I'm sorry, your time's run out. What do we have for our losers, Judge? Well, for our defendants, it's a lifetime exotic Fort Leavenworth, and for defense counsel Kathy, that's right, it's a court martial.
He starts throwing shit.
It's
great.
It's great. Like it.
It's great because it's horrible.
It's not anybody who's ever actually been drunk in that way. It's kind of badly written, but it's Tom Cruise just fucking selling the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And like Demi Moore kind of looks scared in the sequence a little bit, and it kind of plays into it. Well,
I would be fucking scared.
yeah, I'd be scared too.
And then when he chills out, he has a really nice heart to heart with Kevin
And
Pollak.
he immediately sobers up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, damn. I shouldn't. You know when you're drunk and you just say a mean thing and you're like, shit.
I shouldn't have.
God,
I
it's
should
crazy
have-
how I'm not drunk anymore.
I shouldn't have had that one beer.
No, he's like sipping on like he drank like half a fifth of whiskey and then just drove home and then she drives
he
back
does
after
have
her.
a little mini bottle. Yeah. But Demi Moore does make coffee, so
Yeah,
which I don't think he drinks, but
if you
she does make.
all you have to do is put a pot of coffee on, and you're actually not drunk anymore. Everybody, listen. This is my life
you have
hack
to do
for you
is
guys.
smell it.
Smell coffee and drink and drive as much as you want.
Yeah. And have like a woman look at you like, how could you? And you're sober, buddy.
Hey, that happens to me like every single night post pod.
How could you? All right, we should get to the categories. Any other thoughts on the cast, the story? Any like more thematic thoughts on the film about like just I don't know the ethics of military misconduct?
I did want to point out that it is not necessarily that exactly, but it is kind of funny that it's just a little bit ironic that we've done back-to-back Tom Cruise movies that are like at least vaguely, if not overtly, anti-military or anti-military complex.
Yeah, with Born on the Fourth.
And now Tom Cruise is kind of like considered like the ideal picturesque figure of the American movie star. He is Maverick. Even like, I don't think Ethan Hunt perpetuates a industrial military complex, but it's still like very...
Did you hear Biden's new
Well, Biden did say that he was actually very...
Impossible Mission Force?
Biden actually came out against ChatGPT after seeing Dead Reckoning.
Yeah,
so
he's signing an executive order for the Impossible Mission Force.
he said that we need to actually take 10% of the military funds and put them into masks.
Oh, I thought you were going to say podcasts.
Yeah, podcasts and masks. He was just like, shit, it's that easy. I can just wear a mask and then people think that I'm Trump.
The idea of Joe Biden watching Dead Reckoning.
How
Part
cool
One,
is that?
I don't believe that for a second.
I think that rocks.
I think that took another like 6 months off his life. So he's down to like we're getting
we
close.
have
We're down to like 12 days.
We have to bomb more Palestinians right now.
Fucking Christ, Jesus.
He's like the syndicates in Gaza.
If I sign this AI bill, can we send more?
The entity, I can see it.
I can see the entity
Oh
coming.
God, no!
It's right next to all those children.
no!
Joe, get away from the control booth.
It's next to that hospital.
They did release a video about how the entity is physically in that hospital, though. Like there is a 3D breakdown.
Yeah, it's just like I saw the submarine and it looks like it was right at the Gaza line. So
Yeah,
Bomb away.
Gabriel keeps eluding him in those streets.
he's like, damn, that just happened. That happens to me too. While I'm walking around, man just disappears in front of me.
His Gabriel is called Mac. So, categories.
Don't you know it, Jack?
We can't. There's not much like greater political theory to get into with this movie because Sorkin is not actually interested in like interrogating the grander scheme of American politics.
Wait until you see Charlie Wilson's War.
Facts.
You blow your brains out.
Yeah, in this, he's truly like, yeah, the military fucked up. You know who can make that better is the good military guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he's not actually. He's not going at this with any depth. That's not what he's trying to do.
It's fully Clinton American.
Yeah,
politics bullshit. It's just like, you know what if we just turned the shoulder, and then that's actually how we are.
Well,
better
Charlie
than the other
Whitson's
side.
War is all about. It's a movie made during Bush's America about Reagan's America. So Tom Hanks plays like a sleazebag that's like, hey, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe the Cold War was a mistake. You should not cast Tom Hanks as that guy. And just the whole idea of Sorkin being like, you know what? We shouldn't be doing any of this. Or maybe if we should, it shouldn't be some of these guys. It should be different guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Good job.
This movie was so enjoyable that I was able to forget how much I hate that guy.
Well, imagine if this movie showed like combat. That's the thing. Is like we don't get into the nitty-gritty.
And it was in an America that had not fully interrogated whether or not Cuba deserved everything that we were giving it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you'd have to go to Rob Reiner for that, because Charlie Wilson's War is a Mike Nichols film. Mike Nichols is an incredible filmmaker, like The Graduate, like legendary guy.
A bit old.
But exactly. By the time you get to Bush era, he's very old. Charlie Wilson's War is a very like I am an old man movie where it's like, oh yeah, I really need to learn about the intricacies of the Afghanistan conflict in the 80s, but also Emily Blunt is going to be in her underwear.
Facts.
Cool.
So it's just not what you want.
You're selling me better on this one than you were the Marvels.
I was hoping that Emily Blunt would be a more critical character in the film to really show us some nuanced character dynamics. And it's like, oh no, you're just going to be in your underwear for one scene and then never to be seen again. Anyway, categories.
Please. You have a sound effect for that?
Yes.
Cash some checks real quick, because we do have to cash some checks.
Kick it.
What point in this movie did you get up to take a little pee break?
Oh, we're starting with Run P. Brought to you by Run P. RunP.com, Run P app.
Is it? And I know it's one of the few breaks that you get from the courtroom, and I think that's why, because you can't do it too soon. But do we have to miss out on Tom and Demi Moore's date?
No, I like that. I like the crabs. I would go in during one of the scenes with the privates. Whichever ones he's talking to are two private guys. They're kind of
not in the
them.
courtroom.
No, just grilling them in that whatever that holding room is.
I was thinking about this, but I didn't know if that was too early in the movie, because that's like
because
in
there's
the first
enough.
hour.
It happens multiple times.
Okay.
So you feel like I get what this scene is going to be. I can go. It's fine.
That's fair. Oh yeah, I like those scenes a lot though.
I like those. This is a tough one because I don't want to lose the date scene either. I think that date scene's a lot of fun with them. And he's like, you know that we're not going to win this.
Maybe I just don't want to see Kiefer Sutherland on the stand. I hate him. I hate that. I hate his face.
He looks fucked up.
Fuck him.
I will say, I think some people might say going to see Kevin Bacon at the bar when he says,
I had that thought.
You're a lousy fucking softball player, Jack. But I like that. I like Tom a lot in that scene.
And I like getting to know, I like the relationship he has with Kevin Bacon, because that's another thing that's not shown in a lot of courtroom movies is like the lawyers all know each other.
Yeah.
Right.
And for the most part,
good chance they know each other well.
Outside of the courtroom, there's like, hey, see you next week
buddies.
for practice. Like, just like immediately like, oh, gotta go arrest Kendrick now.
Well, especially in military law, I think they're required to share more information. I think in outside of military law, they're not as required. It's more suggested. I think within the bounds of military law, they don't really get into it in this movie, but you would have these guys like talking a lot more because there are processes in place to share information, which contradicts with Kevin Bacon's behavior in the courtroom, because he's always asking like, where is this guy going with this? What are you talking about?
I think
it's like
that-
you would know
I
because
think
you
that
would see
you-
the memos.
I think you have to disclose evidence that you're going to present and witnesses, because you have to give the opportunity for like cross-examination and things like that. I don't think you have to like pre-present to the other side like, hey, these are the points I'm going to try to make here. Like, I don't think you have to do that, but you can say like, these are the outside sources that I'm bringing.
No, I'm saying that in regular court you don't have to, but in military law you might have to. From what I know, that specific
law.
point might be a little bit different, where you do have to share that information. The Kevin Bacon stuff, it's like, dude, let my man finish.
Let my man cut.
Why do you have to object?
Although I will say, I don't know if you can
So
meander
much
that
objecting.
fucking long.
I mean, bro's
in-
pretty out of order.
Can you
What,
meander
Cruz?
that much?
It's been like 2 seconds. Let him get to his point.
Okay, so now that you're bringing this up, I'm glad that you brought this up. We should talk about our boy J.A. Preston, who plays the judge, Judge Randolph. Is he a good judge?
No.
At like keeping order in the courtroom?
Absolutely not. not even close.
He's very suggestible.
He's Sorkin pilled.
He's just like,
He's like, I'm gonna let these guys cook.
they're just like keep saying objection. He's like, overruled. I'd like to see where this is going.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
He's almost more of like a jury than the jury is.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh, okay, interesting. He's like reacting. You're definitely not supposed to react.
That's why Seth MacFarlane was like, that's my guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we got Run P out of the way. Next
Don't
category.
say it like that. We know this.
It's a tough
Well,
one.
it was
to pee.
supposed to be further down the list.
To be honest, if
We
you're
weren't
gonna
supposed to
if you're
start
gonna
with it.
miss anything on here, it's probably the very, very beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
That's too
honestly, when this
early.
movie started, I was like, this might be really corn dog, because watching
It starts with the Guantanamo sequence.
watching people meet in a Sorkin movie stinks. But then you get to see them have an arc, and then you're like, yeah. It's like Serial Guy. Like they will never learn to get along.
I think to Roger Ebert's point, you know where this movie's going. You can go pee almost any time and you'll be fine. So thanks to Run P for
That's kind of
sponsoring
facts.
this episode.
That's kind of facts.
Next category is Tom Swap. Could the other Tom do this role? Could Tom Hanks play is it Lieutenant?
It's Lieutenant Daniel Caffey, 0% chance.
I think he'd be better in this than other Cruise movies we've talked about.
He definitely could. We are going to see Hanks play a lawyer in Philadelphia, a very different movie than this. I think he definitely could. The movie would be very different.
I do not think that, like, Daniel Caffey, the thing that works about him is being an arrogant asshole and being like this hotshot kind of prick.
Hey man, have you seen a little movie called Charlie Wilson's War? Because let me tell you.
Ernie, I think that we've all established here that none of us have seen Charlie Wilson's War.
Well, I think Hanks could do it.
And you're not selling me.
Have
on
you
Charlie
seen
Wilson's
Elvis?
He plays a giant asshole in Sully.
Oh God.
He's like, yeah, I'm gonna land this.
War? I just
thing.
in this era in '92 Hanks, I do not buy it at all.
I think he could do it.
He'd be great in the Kevin Bacon role.
That's what I was gonna say. I had him further down in the
that's
casting
good.
couch as like a Kevin Bacon character, or as he's too young in the 90s. But if we were going to like put him in closer to now, in the JT Walsh role,
yeah,
the Mark and Cinderella.
That would just be like, you'd be like, that's Tom Hanks.
Yeah, well, I'm saying if you take out the baggage of being Tom Hanks, I think that he would
Tom
do a
Hanks
really good
pops
job
up in the backseat of your car, you're like, we'd be laughing.
You're giggling.
Well, you give him the big glasses that he's wearing. You know, that could be enough.
Yeah.
He's wearing these big
him as
old-
Kevin Bacon though would be great.
Look, I stand by. I think he could do this.
I think he could do this way better than he could be like
Yeah.
Maverick. You know what I mean? I think
He do this better than Born on the 4th of July.
Absolutely. That's a way different role than this. That's a transformative role. This guy is like in the courtroom.
I don't think he could do either, to be clear. I do closer to Caffey than Born on
Could
the 4th
he
of July
do the
guy.
Jacko impression?
I need to know. You know what I need to do?
Eats breakfast.
I need to not work on my Jack. I need to work on my Tom
As
Cruise
Jack.
doing Jack. He eats breakfast 300 yards away from 4,000 Cubans that are trained to kill him.
Okay.
That's what I got to work on. Or maybe I don't got to work on it. You guys think I nailed it? You think that was
I think
perfect?
you nailed
No
it.
notes? Okay.
I know. Yeah, it will just be. Yeah, that's the peak.
Next-
Apex battle for Hunter.
He makes Madden. He got the bat. He's carrying around a bat right now around the studio.
Next category is favorite scene. I mean, it's the scene. You can't handle the truth.
So it's that like 20-minute scene that they have there. Shout out runner up to everything that happens the first time that they meet in Guantanamo Bay. Like that lunch
Gotta
scene that
ask
they have
nicely.
if you haven't gotten a blowjob from a superior officer, well, you're just letting the best in life pass you by. And then he's just like, unfortunately, I gotta wait until there's a women president in the White House. Like, he is so evil in that scene. Kendrick, you can hear him like laughing in the scene too, which almost adds to like how evil it feels that you can see like the most evil person in the world is also like eating this shit up. He's lapping it up here. That's how menacing it is and how like evil it is. And the fact that like Jack walking away from that scene is just like owning this shit. He's just fucking dominating everything. The whole like, this fucking heat. This drives me crazy.
This is a lost cause. This is a dead end path. But to interrogate Aaron Sorkin's politics here is like, so clearly he thinks that these people are vile, right? Like the way these characters are written, the whole conceit of this story is to show us how these people that we put on a certain pedestal in our culture are not what they're meant to be. I mean, this movie ends with Jack Nicholson's character being essentially taken away in cuffs.
But it's also
it's like
his solution is like, yeah, we should put a better guy in that position. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, we should like change what we're doing. It's like better people should be doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
It's not seeing the forest through the trees. It's just like there isn't a problem with the system. It's just with the select
he has no
few.
structural critiques. You know, it's all just like human critiques.
It's that you need someone on the wall.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like the bad things need to be done by someone. Not the bad things don't need to be done at all.
You just want like an entire military made out of the Markinsons. The people are just like, I have a moral compass at the end of the day.
It's tough. What's the most iconic moment? I mean, can't handle the truth.
It's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite scene,
Easy
most iconic
peasy.
moment. I mean,
What do you guys think about like that last sequence about like who kind of comes out on top? I know it's like it's very different performances between Tom and Jack there.
I love Jack, man. I know that you can't handle the truth. It's like the moment, but he like keeps going after that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Did you order the code red? Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right, I did.
And then later when he's like, am I being arrested right now?
He's like,
And
what the hell is going on?
He lunges at him. I mean, going back to the point about his entire performance being in the context of his head, he moves his entire body in that moment where he's like knowing he's done and he lunges.
I think Jack I think he owns so hard. He's
so good.
He's so cool. I'm not pitting them against each other in terms of like quality of acting because they're one guy is playing the provoker and one's playing like the provokee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like Tom does like a perfect job of like poking him.
It's poking the bear in all the right ways and like learning how to or figuring out the perfect way of like he fucking wants to say it. He's so disgusted by us like laymen.
In the previous scene where he's like I know he's gonna want to say it. And I think that the best thing about this whole section of the movie is that you feel like despite everything, despite all the things that have gone wrong to set this up for failure, Kaffee's still in control. And that's what makes this scene work for me is that you never feel like Kaffee has lost control of the situation. Even when you're in a movie and you feel like all hope is lost, you never feel like this guy's completely out of his element. And I think that's the perfect arc that's drawn throughout the movie. Is at the beginning, you get this perfect setup of this guy just being kind of thrown into this thing. He's not really interested in it. He doesn't really want to do it. He has to be encouraged and coerced and pushed to do it. But God damn, he's the right guy for the job.
Yeah.
It's also there's, I think most versions probably of this script, even like very traditional movies, a lot of the time they'll end with like a Pyrrhic victory type thing where like, you know what I mean? Like he'll say you can't handle the truth, but then he won't go all out and say that he did it. And so like they don't fully get him. But the movie ends and like Caffey's like, damn, I learned a lesson here. I'm going to be a good lawyer.
But he got him, but also like there's still a little bit of, it's not a pure 100% happy ending. Our boys get to go back to their post and everything, which I did want to say
they're done. Yeah.
I like, it's a continuation of this scene, but I love the very end of this movie, the bookend of this movie. I love that there isn't like a fucking coda of like Jack and Tom and Demi Moore gonna go like work it out and have a second date or anything stupid like that. Instead, you have like these two men who have just kind of like looked down on Caffey the entire time as like not a true soldier and all, like just like they don't feel like he is necessarily going to be their best path towards getting back. And the breakdown that like Hal has in that scene, or not Hal, that Dawson has in the scene of just like, Hal, are we not going to be able to go back to our friends?
I want to be a Marine.
I just like, for them,
how was he in the military? How is he a Marine?
Because he's from Twin Peaks, Washington.
For them,
how
like,
can he like wipe his ass? He's so stupid.
For them, like being found guilty of behavior unbecoming of a Marine is just as bad as being found guilty of murder and just being dishonorably discharged. They just feel like they lost. They feel like they've lost everything. And
they don't know how to function.
Yeah, because their whole life was just I am Marine. I am Marine. Yeah. And whenever you have that whole like, it's so fucking corny, but god damn it, did it work whenever you have Tom say the line of just like, you don't need to wear a patch on your arm to have honor. And then he just does the 10 hut. There's an officer on deck.
Yeah.
I just was like, damn. Fucking clap cinema, baby. We are back.
That was so lit.
It's so good. It's just like any kind of level of cynicism that I have towards watching things just kind of washes over at that point. I'm like, damn, they fucking nailed it. They landed the goddamn plane.
If you just let yourself enjoy a lot of Sorkin stuff, you really can. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, dude.
Just don't think too hard.
I can keep watching The West Wing forever, even though I know that it's a fantasy. It's like I might as well be watching the Marvels. Like it's not a real thing. It's not based in our reality, but somehow he makes it satisfying. Somehow he weaves this thread where it's like you could see this version of our reality. And I don't know. I don't think all of The West Wing is perfect, but there's this sweet spot. You know, I think The Crack was really good in the years like 2000 to 2003, somewhere in there.
Some would say that that's actually post The Best Crack.
Right.
Like Coke really kind of peaked in the 80s.
Well, I mean, allegedly, because I think if you look at the records, like he was supposed to be sober, but then he was caught with possession later. So it just begs into question all of those sobriety years. So I don't know. I'm not going to judge on the guy. I just know that he's a great fucking writer. And there was a time where it just felt good. It's satisfying, man. I mean, think about The Social Network. Like that movie's all talking. It's just all wall to wall dialogue. Like, how do you do that? How do you make that feel so fucking satisfying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has these hallmarks that he just knows how to fucking hit. And that's it's just a perfect blend between The Social Network and then in this movie where it's just like, I know the beats. I know the characters that I am comfortable of painting here, and I'm going to give them all of the tools that they need. And then you get a guy like Rob Reiner who's just like, we're just going to fucking put the characters on frame. And Tom, talk about your daddy issues. Like, we're just going to like kind of let all these things out right here.
We haven't touched on this yet. So.
About his dad, like, was the Brown versus the Board of Education lawyer.
So
like,
you said you've watched this movie a bunch of times. I think the main thing I'm going to look for when rewatching this movie is how the Tom Cruise character is burdened with these daddy issues. Because I think that was something that I didn't even think about.
It's something that definitely
it's very
plays,
subtle.
It plays back into it, though, about how he never even wanted to get into a courtroom because he has this ghost that's behind him.
But the Walsh character, like, that's all he's hinging on. He's like, doesn't he say something about how, like, I was there, I saw your dad, like, do a case or something? Like, there are more elements of the connection to the father that we never see.
Yeah.
That I think on rewatch I'll pick up more on, because I think on the first watch I just let all that stuff kind of fall to the side. But I feel like there is some thematic stuff in there of Caffey's character arc being tied to him dealing with the shadow of his father.
Yeah, and also like,
100%.
yeah, it's not out of being like a little shit that he's not going to trial. It's he's scared.
But that's once again good fucking screenwriting. That's there. That's acts as like a little morsel for you to pick up upon rewatches, but that does not act as any kind of detriment the first time that you're watching it.
Next category is
film.
Fellas, WID.
So, fellas,
You're committing a war crime.
Fellas, you were just in there. You just embarrassed yourself. In the transcript, you have how written for the public record for all of history. You've been dishonorably discharged. WID.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna.
I'm gonna put on my full Marine outfit.
You are
shoot yourself in the fucking mouth.
Private first class Loudon Downey.
I think I'm gonna go on to like be Forrest Gump. Like I'm just gonna start walking.
Well, there are worse things.
Yeah, I'm just gonna end up like in 9/11 and like
WID, if you are Colonel Jessup, you were like about to be in like the cabinet of the U.S.
Oh,
and,
so when he asked me if I ordered the code red, I'm going to say nope.
oh.
You're damn wrong.
That ain't me.
You're damn wrong. I didn't.
Sure wasn't me.
Easy.
What if you're Demi Moore and you really want to take down some of those curls, but you feel like it's not quite appropriate for this work setting? You feel like there's not a clear delineation.
You should have been there. Ernest wanted to see her take that shit down so
God
bad.
damn it, Ernie. Jesus. You just wanted to see a commanding officer give a blowjob that bad.
He was edging that whole time and she never did it.
I mean, not even for the crab dinner? You're not even gonna.
True.
Come on.
I don't know. So if I'm Caffey, I'm gonna not take it to trial. I'm gonna keep being a pussy forever. Honestly, I'm gonna take the 10 years or whatever it is and let those fucking idiots go to jail.
Well, then it gets down to what? It gets down to it's less than 10 years.
You know what I mean? They don't
it?
deserve like a happy life necessarily.
Yeah, come on. Develop some goddamn agency. I don't give a shit about your code. Update your code.
Why do we have to try them both at the same time? Is it because they both committed the same crime together?
Well,
Because-
is that how that works? I feel like they each individually get their own trial, right? But again, I don't know how military law works.
I genuinely,
you know how military law works?
Drew, weigh
I
in
don't
on
think
this.
that Downey
Speak on this.
cannot be in the same room as Dawson. I
Can
think
we do a
I think
lifeline
it's like
to Leonard?
they're
right
treated
now?
as like it. Like I think that he's his legal guardian. You know what I mean?
Wait, who is
Like he's like his handler.
who's Downey's hot aunt? that comes in.
Oh yeah, I forgot
There's that whole
Hey.
sequence.
She's fine as hell.
Just shows up as like a throwaway bit of like fucking Aunt Janine or whatever, like popping up in here.
Right.
And Tom's like, oh shit, damn.
I think that
and about to make me act up right now.
Yeah, I think that Downey is legally speaking like an emotional support animal.
It's you.
How?
And
All right, next category is what's the Tom score for hair, brow, and teeth?
He looks great.
brow is like 10 out of 10. This is some of the best
He's
brow
cleaned
work.
up.
Well, not just that, it's the acting. with
Yeah,
brows.
he's using
He's
it.
always just out there, just moving them brows around. Really good. I think the hair is like also pretty spot on.
Throughout the whole thing,
Yeah.
too. It doesn't really fluctuate. It's on point.
He has
Five.
Yeah,
Five out of five.
He has hair that is like it's straightened, just coming out of his head.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's so thick. It almost reminds me of a friend of the pod, Dav. How that dude's just got so much fucking hair up there.
Yeah, jealous. Yeah, I think it's a 5 out of 5 for me. I'm reserving 6 out of 5 for Mission Impossible 2.
Yes.
But that's the only time we'll reach a 6 out of 5, so this will be a 5
Agreed.
out of 5.
Agreed. The running. Does he run in this?
He doesn't run. He does have a mean softball swing.
Okay.
So
Give him a 0.5 for that.
Yeah, no,
0.5, that's it.
he doesn't run.
He doesn't run, you're right.
He's stationary.
Tom Cruise as athlete is great. I love this whole era. I need to watch Days of Thunder. That was another movie that was growing up, a movie that I watched. But
Final category. Recaging and re-Robin Couch. Where is Nicolas Cage and Robin Williams in this movie?
Cage is Kiefer Sutherland.
I know
Yes!
it's got to be. It's just
God, that's so perfect.
Yeah.
I think I'm laughing too much is the only problem. Where Kiefer, it's like almost hurts because you're like, ugh,
Yeah.
I hate him.
Yeah, you
Nick Cage, if he's just out there, just like, I've got 2 books on my bedside. You're like, all right, tone it back here, buddy. Like, bring it, take it down a
Robin,
notch.
I am not sure that Robin fits into this movie.
Robin could be Markinson.
Yeah.
He could be.
No, yeah, that's probably the closest one. Yeah.
Could we put him in as Christopher Guest doctor coming in there? He could reprise his role from Awakenings.
He's Patch Adams on the stand.
He's like,
oh my God, oh my God.
I think they killed him.
Heart condition. What is that?
It's just the fact that he's Robin ruins it no matter where he's in, because like theoretically I think he would actually do a decent job as Kevin Pollak's character. You know what I mean? Like his sort of almost like early to late 90s, like maybe even around this time he could have done it, because he's honestly pretty toned down in Dead Poets. Like it's not like he's like really performing in that movie. Like I think he would do a good job being like the guy who's, you know, giving him almost like a Good Will Hunting style speech, you know?
The problem with that is that we never saw Tom Cruise and Robin Williams together, so we have no frame of how that would go.
How that dynamic would work.
I feel like this might be best case scenario because it is so pared down and so play-like, because it is a play.
Mm-hmm. Is there like any improvising though in this movie?
Yeah.
It's like 90% improv.
That's the whole thing. Is that if you're having Robin in there, it has to like you gotta give him space to cook.
Do you think that Aaron Sorkin put in the parenthetical like do a Jack Nicholson impression?
Okay,
here?
so that is I think that might be the only point where there is any level of improvising, because I don't know how you can improvise an Aaron Sorkin script. If you are improvising, speaking at that volume and like that articulate about anything, then like shouts out to you. You should be writing and not acting.
I'm imagining Jack going up to Aaron and, you know, and Rob Reiner and being like, I think he actually says he did do the code red.
Yeah. He's just like, Jackson, it's like, I have this idea, just run the plane. Nothing's better than getting a blowjob from a superior officer. And they're like, Jesus, all right, let's
and then I get out my dildo. They're like, no.
Okay. Stop it there.
What if Robin's just like the bartender? Do they go to a bar at some point?
Did they go to a bar? They go to the oyster or the clam bar or whatever the fuck it is with Demi on like a date.
No, I'm just having a hard time seeing.
I don't know where Robin goes in this.
In a strictly military environment. What if he's one of the guys that Kevin Bacon is playing basketball with?
He's like,
As he's Jack. He's fucking
just
hooping
sitting
on
there
him.
under the rim,
It's just showing him how it's done.
Jesus.
That's it. All right. Well, I think we did it. Any last thoughts on A Few Good Men? Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise.
Actually, no. I have no other thoughts.
Why do you have
Good movie.
Why do you have 4 separate
It's
documents?
because of fucking it's the way that fucking Microsoft Word split them out onto like side by side pages, like I'm writing a novel.
That looks so fucked.
I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate using docs. I just use Google Docs all the time for everything nowadays.
You don't have to live like
You
that.
could do Notepad.
I use notes usually on my phone, but I just wanted to move it
You
on
could
here for
write
easier
things
access.
with a pen and paper.
I'm gonna start bringing an ink quill, and I'll be like, "That's a good point." Jot that down.
We should start handwriting all our.
Can we start
podcasts
doing
notes
our pods purely
on
analog?
tape? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll digitize them.
Okay.
I've got it
Can you
unlocked.
put this on can you burn this onto a vinyl?
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll be for the premier patrons.
I got the hookup with Jack White in Detroit.
Oh, yeah. You guys are bros now.
Yeah, I hit him up.
Nice.
Bye.
A Few Good Men pod by a few solid men. I hope.
Well, thank you all for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know your thoughts on A Few Good Men. Check out weboughtamic.net and patreon.com/weboughtamic to get all episodes and bonus content. Thank you, beautiful donors, for donating. Beautiful patrons. Thank you, Run P, for supporting this episode. Run P app. Run P. Go to the movies and know when to go pee with Run P.
That might be useful for Five Nights at Freddy's. Everybody's like getting up and they're like, "Oh, I got a long one I can take here. I have the next hour and a half."
I almost went to pee twice during the Marvels. I went once and I was thinking like, I think I might go a second time.
It's
because
a
I'm
short
very
movie.
bored.
That's tough. A boredom piss. The more that you just say anything about the Marvels, the less I am likely to ever
I
seek
was
this out.
worried that if I did go pee a second time that I wouldn't come back into the movie theater to
and then
watch the
you might
end
get
of the movie.
blacklisted by the Critics Association because they're like, "Yo, you can't just fucking dip from these movies." People, don't go see the Marvels. Instead, stay home and watch The Killer
The Killer and Priscilla.
and Priscilla.
We recommend The Killer and Priscilla. So stick around for more thoughts on fall movies. Poor Things, Maestro. Why did I say my?
Maestro. Maestro.
Maestro.
Join the Discord and we'll see you next time. Actually, we had a break before this episode. We're probably going to have another break. I am getting married next week.
Congratulations.
So
Drew and I
it's
are
gonna
completely incapable of producing a podcast on our own. So
it's going to be probably a little while, but A League of Their Own is next in the series.
nice.
So stick around for that. And yeah, fall movie season, it's coming.
We'll have lots of eps coming up.
happening.
We're going to be doubling up on Tom series plus all the fucking new movies that are coming out because there's a lot of them.
Look,
coming hot and heavy.
We have to be on the lookout for Drew in the Poor Things episode because Emma Stone is going to be very naked.
I'm kind of.
I'm a
we're
little
going to
worried.
see this tomorrow, and I'm worried that Drew might get me disbanded. He might get me disbarred.
Disbarred from
disbarred.
Disbarred from being critical of things.
But nah. There will be someone watching me.
Drew's gonna be having his own Beau is Afraid moment in the theater during
The
Poor Things.
The curse is also coming. It's double Emma season.
God, I'm so excited.
It's happening.
She's a good actress.
We're here, babe. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Come on.
See you next time.
All right.
Bye.